10 absolute must-buy comic book collections. Hi, welcome to Garage Geek. So today I'm going to go over 10 absolute must-buys for anyone's comic book collection, especially if you're new. What should you buy? Now, obviously, this list is going to be very subjective and it could change. In fact, it always does, but I'm going to pick 10 items that I know that you will absolutely love, or even if you don't like it, you will understand the benefits of that comic collection. Now, first, I'm going to start with some collections that I think are great, but that I'm not going to include. The first couple are because they're too cerebral, and I don't think they're good introductions to people just getting into comics. Please check them out. Some of these are masterpieces, but they're just, for me, they're not good jumping in points. So the first one is obviously going to be Watchmen. This thing is a masterpiece, but I think if someone were first reading comics and they started reading this, they would be scared and they would run away. For the same reason, I'm going to say Sandman. Also, I'm not going to include this because I actually haven't finished it. So I'm working my way through this, which is criminally negligent on my part, but at least I'm tackling it now. Another surprise is going to be the absolute Dark Knight. Why so many people, when they read this, absolutely hate it. So I can't put it on my list just for that reason, but this thing is a masterpiece. Another one that I'm not going to include is The Walking Dead. I think that this entire run is just brilliant, but I did not want to include a black and white comic. I understand that this is supposed to be bleak and the black and white helps with that, but if you're reading comics for the first time, you want to be dazzled with the art and the color. I think that's part of the experience, and that's just one reason why I wouldn't recommend The Walking Dead, but I do recommend The Walking Dead highly. Now, if you're looking for fun comics, you can't go wrong with 60s and early 70s DC. For example, the Silver Age World's Finest. This is going to be like Superman and Batman teaming up and just going on zany adventures. If you can't see this, I'll put a picture. I mean, here's the two of them, and then you've got Lex Luthor and the Joker, you know, cackling in the car. I mean, these are just silly, fun adventures, nothing serious. When I was a kid, I was so into Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, and I think I still like the time travel genre because of this. So Superboy would fly off at the beginning of a comic through some kind of time warp, and he would arrive in the 23rd century, and he would have adventures with the zany characters of the Legion of Superheroes. Some of them are just silly, like Bouncing Boy, but it was meant to be fun. Later, they got their own series, and Superboy stopped appearing, and the comic got more serious, and it got really good as well. So I think I really like this series because I kind of matured with the series. Another reason I'm not recommending this is because I don't have any collected editions besides this one. I'm waiting for them to come out. Now, there's a whole bunch of Marvel editions that I would recommend, but they're just not available in a cheap format, so I didn't include them. For example, Frank Miller's Daredevil run, it's an absolute must-read. John Byrne's run on the Fantastic Four, phenomenal. The Defenders around issue 20 to 40, those comics are, in my opinion, amazing. Another one that I just didn't include was an early run of The Incredible Hulk, and this is where Wolverine is first introduced. These are great, fun comics. It just didn't make the list. Okay, let's move on to what made the list. Marvel 2-in-1 starring The Thing. Now remember, I'm picking items that are readily available at the time that I'm making this video. I'm also going to be flashing the Amazon prices for each comic collection so that you can see that it's available and how much it costs. And remember, if, for example, this is $45 on Amazon, you can find it way cheaper in other places I would say that I probably paid about $25. So why is this a must? Not only are these fun and sometimes serious, but every issue the Thing will team up with someone else from the Marvel Universe. So you get a wide variety of characters with this one collection. Now, I have to have a Batman on this list, and it was very difficult for me to pick one. I went with The Long Halloween. Why? Because it was just put out recently and it's readily available. But there are multiple great entries into Batman. The artwork by Tim Sale on this takes getting used to, but once you're into it, the artwork is phenomenal. The story is also excellent. So this would be my jumping on point for Batman, The Long Halloween. For Marvel Comics, you get phenomenally stunning art by Alex Ross, plus a historical overview. This is a really, really great introduction to Marvel Comics. Plus you get, as I stated, this phenomenal art. Now, this is available in a very affordable edition, and it's enough. It's all you need. The painted artwork by Alex Ross throughout is stunning. Marvel Comics has a cheap, I should say an affordable line that is called the Epic Collection, and they collect runs of comics. My jumping off point would be Proteus by the X-Men. Now, I actually didn't look if this was available, and that's my fault. These Epic collections go out of print quickly, but what they do is they often reprint them. The Epic Collection number 5, right before this, started the phenomenon that would propel comics into the limelight and ultimately led to the comics boom and then bust. These are the issues, the one in number 5, volume 5, and then 6, and then 7, and continuing on. This is what led to the boom in comics. The art in here is stellar. It's John Byrne, and the writing Chris Claremont. The stories are excellent, and this is just a must-have. Now, originally I picked this. This is not the first collection of Spider-Man. That would be with Steve Ditko. But once John Romita Sr. took over, Spider-Man went in a different direction, and these stories are excellent. So this is from the Epic Collection number 7. Unfortunately, this is out of print. It fetches high prices. That's why I'm hoping that this one is available instead. This is an amazing jumping on point for Spider-Man. A lot of these stories have been used in the movies, but they're actually better in the comics. And so I highly recommend that if you can find this, I'm going to show on the screen, they do have it on digital. These are absolutely worth reading. After the X-Men became so popular, DC put out their superhero group, and these comics are also phenomenal. The artwork by George Perez, stunning, and the team dynamics, brilliant, which led into George Perez also doing a run on Wonder Woman, which is also phenomenal. The artwork on these, amazing. The story, great. You really need to pick these up. I don't have a lot of independent comics, but I do like Image comics because they're more mature stories. So you're going to get away from superheroes, and you're going to get artists and creators who are free to tell their stories for as many issues as they want or not. They're allowed to do with their characters what they want to do. And so I already mentioned The Walking Dead, which is from Image. I have 4 Image titles that I think you need to check out, and they're all available now. What's also really good is that Image puts out copies of their comics. Their first thin collection like this would be only costing $9.99. So they're a great way to jump on. They also put out their Image firsts, and those books cost I believe, $1. So if you're curious about a title, you can buy those image first, read it for $1, and then if you like it, you could go ahead and purchase the graphic novel for $9.99, and then if you like it still, then you can buy more volumes of it. But I personally like the deluxe editions. Even though I'm getting away from hardcover, the image collections are so affordable and they're beautifully done. So I love these wraparound covers. So the first one I'm going to recommend is Paper Girls. And not only when you read Paper Girls, you could then watch the I think it was a Netflix TV show, which is excellent. So this is going to be about 4 very different girls who are thrust together in a time-traveling adventure. Next, we have Gideon Falls, a horror story. Now, the second volume of this was just released, but this is still available in this gorgeous deluxe edition. The next one I'm going to show, it's an absolute shame that it's out of print, because we have the complete Kill or Be Killed by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. This thing is a stunning psychological masterpiece of comic storytelling and art. So good. Everything they do is magic. It's at least great to magical. Now, this is still available in the graphic novels, not the deluxe edition, so you can still read it. I would recommend picking up the first volume of $9.99. I picked up the first 2. I loved it so much, I gave those to a friend, and I went ahead and bought this. Now, the final volume that I'm going to recommend today is another from Image, which is Ice Cream Man, which is a horror anthology. This is a great piece of storytelling. I'm eagerly awaiting the second volume to come out. I can't wait to see where this goes, because not only is this a horror anthology, but they link the stories and they try to push the boundaries of comic book storytelling. This is a great way to jump into modern comics. So those are my 10 highly recommended yet available comics that you could pick up now. I would love to hear your own recommendations in the comments below. But remember, I picked things that are readily available that can be bought online right now. I tried to stay away from anything that was overly priced or out of print. So I hope you agree with my list, or if you don't, again, I would love to hear your comments. If I showed something that you think is not worthy of being one of the top most important comics, then please put that in the comments. Also remember that I stayed away from independents just because I lack knowledge in the independents, and there are so many comic book reviewers out there who deal with the independent comics in a knowledgeable fashion. So again, I want to thank you for your support.